Do we all really come from Adam and Eve? Hello, my name is Dr. Chad Suma with the K-Pole and Contact Mission, coming to you from the campus of Central Christian College of the Bible in Moberly, Missouri. Today I want to share with you about the debate concerning the origins of mankind. Did all of mankind really descend from one human pair, or from many? In technical terms, is monogenism, descent from one human pair, or polygynism, descent from multiple human pairs, the true origin of humanity? Traditionally, monogenism was the viewpoint of classical Christian belief, as well as old-school Darwinian evolution. Polygynism is often found with more modern incarnations of evolutionary theory, and proponents of that theory typically find the account of Adam and Eve in Genesis 1 through 3 to be mythological. The idea that all of mankind was not descended from one human pair is an idea that has had advocates throughout the centuries. For example, the Pygmies of Africa believed that all mankind was made of three different clays: a red clay, a brown clay, and a white clay. In the Western world, it wasn't until a man named Theophrast Bombast von Hohenheim in 1520 did anyone in the West doubt the traditional idea that mankind was descended from one human pair. However, after this, the idea quickly gained traction with the scholars of the day. The famous philosophers David Hume and Voltaire were polygynists. By the 19th century, Jean Cuvier had articulated some basic tenets that defined polygynistic theory. First, the species are now fixed. Second, environmental influences on humanity are negligible. Third, the underlying type that a person is, what branch of humanity they are from, is fixed. Fourth, anatomical differences, particularly cranial measurements, show a difference between the ethnicities, with Caucasians having the largest cranial capacity and therefore the smartest of all the races. This led several scientists, among them Louis Agassiz and George Morton Smith, to collect human skulls to do their cranial measurements in order to prove Cuvier's theories. One of the questions you as a listener may be asking is, what is driving this debate? There are several factors that are influencing this debate. Sadly, some of these factors have been used in dark periods in human history. One of these factors that is driving the debate is race. According to classic polygynistic theory, Caucasians were descended from the best human pair, and therefore are intrinsically superior to the other ethnicities. Linguistics is also a focus of this debate, as they try to ascertain whether there was one original human language or several. Finally, evolutionary theory is a factor, as genetic studies have been somewhat inconclusive in that some seem to support monogenism and others polygynism. Polygynists have traditionally argued that the diversity in humanity is evidence that its origins are from multiple human pairs, and there was not enough time from the origins of humanity till now to account for this diversity. Before Darwin pushed the clock back with evolutionary theory, polygynists argued that only 10,000 years of history isn't enough to account for the diversity in humanity. After Darwin, the focus shifted on the origins of Homo sapiens, modern man, being by some estimates only 60,000 years old, as still not enough time for diversity to develop. At this point, several critiques should be made of polygynism that will hopefully show you that it is a flawed theory. These critiques will come from two areas: the scientific and the biblical. First, let us discuss some scientific objections to polygynism. To begin with, craniometry, the study of the sizes of brains, it's a pseudoscience, with size differences of human skulls between ethnicities being relatively small and showing no direct bearing on intelligence. Another blow to polygynism is the fact that different ethnicities can produce children, suggesting that all mankind is one species. Races that were considered the bottom of the humankind, like the Aborigine, have members who hold doctorates. The idea that races not native to that environment, like Southeast Asians who can live in cold climates, is also apparently false. The polygynistic argument about not enough time for diversity within the species to develop is also flawed. It only takes a few generations to selectively breed different types of dogs, showing that great diversity can happen in a short amount of time. Finally, there is no agreement among polygynistic scholars about both the number of types and how to define them. With such disagreement among its supporters, should not the theory itself begin to be questioned? What about the Bible? What does it say? There's no evidence in Scripture of any pre-Adamite or co-Adamite peoples. Now, to be fair, an argument from silence is somewhat shaky, but Scripture does give this interesting statement about Eve. In Genesis 3:20, Adam names his wife Eve as she is considered the mother of all living. Another problem that the Bible seems to have with polygynism is the idea of imago Dei, made in the image of God. Clearly, Adam and Eve are made in the image of God, but what about other human pairs if polygynism is true? Another issue is brought up in Romans 5. Now, there's some debate about original sin in these verses, but the idea is this: how could death spread to all men if all men are not descended from Adam? As to whether or not Adam and Eve were real people, Jesus and Paul both seem to refer to the couple as real people. So in conclusion, I believe that the Bible teaches descent from one human pair. While there are Christians who believe in polygynism, of whom we politely disagree with, polygynism is flawed both at the scientific and biblical levels. Sadly, polygynistic theory has been used for the oppression of certain people groups, most notably in the 19th and 20th centuries. And as such, polygynism as it was practiced then is incompatible with Christian belief. I'm Dr. Chad Suma with CAPOL and Contact Mission.